Go for it.
Action, activate.
Here we come, there they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You will soon, you see our pose. Tension, energize, mask on. Time to ride. Combine, grease ties.
Hello and welcome. It's me, Gazbot, for Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, well, the big dog's not here and neither is Campbell, but we have...
Steve Andreno, BABOO.
Hey, Steve Andreno, BABOO!
Hello
How you doing?
again, everybody. Glad to be back. Thanks for having me on again.
I made it wide so everyone could see your lovely banner.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's
Yes,
funny
I'm
because
not
that
at the convention.
intro...
This is actually my bedroom right now.
Well, it's funny because the intro I used that you had given us, that was when we first met a couple years back, and you were clean shaven and you look totally different now.
Yes. And it's funny because the only reason I was even clean shaven at that point, I had just started a new job with a new chemical plant that I had to be clean shaven, and I was only there for 2 weeks.
Right. And it's funny because speaking of Campbell, also a lot of his, when I first met him and a lot of his stuff, he was clean shaven, but like you, he prefers a beard. So the two of you, so you went beard on me and it confused me.
Yes. That's what happens when you get older.
Apparently. But we're not here to talk about beards, are we? What are we talking about today, Steve?
No, not necessarily. But what we're here to talk about today is an episode review, one that I happen to be in, oddly enough.
Right.
Season 3, episode 14, Final Face-Off.
Right. So I said,
Final
go ahead and
Face-Off.
pick one, and you gave me a choice of two, and I chose this one. And this is not the first time you've done a review with us. The last time we did an episode review with you, you were literally not in it at all. This time you're actually in it. So that's a nice change.
Well, to clarify, the last time we did it, we did The Wedding, which is actually 3 episodes. Episode 1, I really wasn't in at all, but episodes 2 and 3, I certainly was. So,
True.
Because
true.
it was, I remember we had to break it up over 2 shows, actually, because it was way too long to do 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But
especially,
I'm actually glad you chose this one, although again, I'm not in this one a whole lot, although as we were discussing earlier, I think about 30 seconds of screen time is about my maximum for most shows. There was a lot of very interesting, unique things about this particular episode, so I'm actually between the two. I'm glad you chose this one.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I have it muted. I'm going to start playing it over on the side here. I'm going to put up the little morphin grid so we don't get a copyright strike. I took notes. I rewatched it recently, and I took notes, and I'm curious to see what you're going to have to say versus things I maybe noticed or had questions about. Because I specifically was looking for behind the scenes kind of things, knowing that you'd be on. And of course, we could stop the show when we,
Oh yeah. Well, I've got a lot of interesting things I said about this episode.
Well, feel free to start whenever you like. I'm going to let it play, and if I need to pause it, we'll take off the grid and show an individual image or something. We'll do that.
No, I'll give you the heads up. Don't worry about that.
Okay. The first thing I had thought they were talking about, and this is my ignorance showing, but they were talking about the country of Kamala, and I was like, is that a real place? Is this a real legend or something they just made up? And I haven't looked it up, but I'm like, I don't know. It could be real folklore. I have no idea.
No,
that's not okay.
Something they made up.
Okay,
something they definitely made up. Okay, so actually, you can stop right here for a second because they're in the museum.
Yes.
Now, what I will tell you that anybody that's from LA, not anybody, but some people might recognize this. This is the actual Page Museum.
The Page Museum.
What that is the museum at the La Brea Tar Pits.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been to the La Brea Tar Pits.
A little later on, they'll have a big shot of like a mastodon or something, skeleton. So this is actual museum setup, except for what they added for the exhibit.
That makes sense. As a matter of fact,
on the shooting schedule for that day, they made a highlight notes of no guests allowed at this location. We had specific places we even had to park to film that day because it
Were
was
they
filmed
were they
actually
still
inside
operating the museum, other parts of it, or?
I don't know if it was a day that they weren't, although that's Tillman. Oh, it's the other one. It's the blue one. It was a
But they
Tuesday,
didn't want extra
so
people.
that doesn't
Okay.
necessarily.
But they didn't want extra people
Okay.
that weren't necessary hanging around. Was that the idea?
I'm sorry. It was a Monday, so it might have been that they closed for that particular day. They might be closed on Mondays ordinarily. That I don't remember.
Gotcha.
But I have a feeling it's. I don't recall. I don't think there was any other guests. Any other regular museum attendees there.
Right,
But
right.
the thing to keep in mind too, we had one day to shoot, so every scene that is shot in the museum was shot
Was
in
one-
one day.
Wow. And then
So
again,
they
it
had
occurs
to
to me because
have
later,
everybody there.
yeah, and it's funny because we're seeing the civilian rangers, but then later on we got you and the other monsters there, so that's a lot to do in a day.
And then Bulk and Skulls there too at the end. Well, we'll get.
Oh
there.
yeah, and they're in it actually a bunch, aren't they? Huh?
Oh, but they're here too. I forgot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let it play a little bit more here.
Okay, go ahead.
One thing I noticed, not behind the scenes, but they're talking about the face stealer thing. And Billy, of course, is like, "Oh, I know all about this myth," and he talks about it in his usual Billy way. And then Adam chimes in, but Adam's kind of like, like, I guess this weird like smirk, like he thinks it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, stop it right. If you can go back to Azina, there you go. Freeze it on her.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
you have seen her in 10 other episodes.
Okay, hold on. Let me back up.
That is Delphine.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get it better so she didn't have that. Trying to get one where she's not making a goofy
That
face.
is Delphine. Yep, from Aqua Rangers.
Wow. I would not have caught that. Well, I wonder how many
Yep.
people caught that. Well, I mean, back then as kids, nobody's catching it. But even nowadays, like I hadn't even thought because she's got the headpiece and stuff. So it's wow.
Right. Now, obviously, I didn't know this 30 years ago or 28 years ago because
Right.
we hadn't even talked about or shot those episodes. Now,
Right.
according to the call sheet that I have for the show, her name is Raja, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong. She was not actually listed on the call sheet for this character. It was a totally different name. So I don't know if someone didn't show up and they just grabbed
Right.
her or they called her the night before. I don't know how she got the part,
Right.
but on the call sheet, it wasn't her. And then obviously, because she filled in last minute and did a good job, they kept her
Yeah.
and put her in as part of
That's,
the Young Rangers
funny.
arc. Now,
that's so
Go ahead.
cool. I'm sure you're not the first person to ever say that, but like I certainly hadn't heard it. So good trivia for me and probably a lot of people watching. Who knows? Maybe you are the first
Now,
person to say that.
could be.
Sorry,
I don't know. Now, if you go back a second to Shot of the
Yeah.
Rangers, you'll notice they
That
make
good.
mention of it. Somebody's missing. Okay, so
Yes,
we have
Kimberly.
5 of the 6 Rangers there.
Right.
We're missing
Because-
Kimberly. Now, well, this is about the time that she left the show.
You know, that thought crossed my mind
Well-
because they said how she's taken the all city whatever, but she shows up at the end of the
Right.
episode.
Well, because the way the episodes were normally shot, they shot all the studio work first. So anything that took place in the juice bar, in the classrooms, anything that would have been on set, the command center, anything on set at the studio got shot first. Location shoots are always the last shots. I
Oh.
can't say this for sure because I don't know what her shooting schedule was up until this point, but my suspicion is she had filmed all the shots and then said, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I need to go. And they're like, we still have location shots, so we just have to write her out of that.
Oh wow! So I haven't gone back and watched these in sequence recently. Is she not in any episodes after this? Do you know? Or I guess they don't always shoot in order.
Is in a
so-
couple. They don't always shoot Nora. There are a few episodes after this before they brought on Kat, and that's what I'm trying to look at. So the location shoot was May 15th. The very end of the studio shoots that I was a part of, because they shoot them in blocks, I shot interior shots for this episode April 25th. And that was day 8 out of 14. So they probably shot days 1 through 6 or 1 through 7. So there's about a 3, maybe 4 week period in between shooting at the studio on the sets versus shooting on location.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because that thought did cross my mind, but I foolishly, not thinking about the way shows are made, I'm like, well, she's at the end. Maybe she just wasn't, but no, you're, Point,
again,
Ninja Steel
on the call sheet, it says, normally on the call sheets, and here, I'll pull them up here. Okay. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this.
I mean, I can see it's a call sheet.
Yeah, it's hard to, it's a little.
Yeah.
We have the name of the character, the actor, and then the name of the character, what time they need to be on set.
Right.
Now, for the on location shoot for Amy Jo Johnson, Kimberly, instead of saying makeup time, it just says hold. So that tells me that she was unavailable. Now, she could have been sick, and they just decided, it's one day, we can't shoot any other day, and if she's not feeling good, we'll just write her out of this.
Right.
But it was only about 10 episodes after this that she was gone.
Right. So it's certainly plausible, as the Mythbusters would say. Plausible.
It's very, very plausible.
Go back over here, put that back on. Oops, get out of here. So they're talking about the face stealer, and this is the part where Adam just looked like delighted.
I didn't quite notice that, but wow, yeah.
The other, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, so we'll keep going. Did you have anything else here in the museum?
That was it for right now.
What I was going to mention, which was I had to watch it twice to figure out what was said here, because Rita and Zed are making fun of each other like they always do, but she calls him radiator face all the time, but she called Edsel face.
Edsel face.
Yes, right here.
And I don't know anybody of any age that would watch this show that would even know what the heck an Edsel was.
I only know what an Edsel is because of having looked at it in art history, or I know an Edsel is an old-fashioned engine before the standard engines that most cars have way back a million years ago. It was like the Betamax versus VHS, is my understanding. And
it wasn't even that. It was a model of a Ford car that Edsel was actually Henry Ford's son. Edsel was the name of his son.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm not as much of a car guy. I don't know if it was actually his design or whatever, but it was marketed and heavily by Ford, and it failed miserably.
Okay, so I kind of half had that. But so I was probably one of the oldest people watching this show at the time. And at that time, I didn't know it. I know now because I heard, are they saying Edsel, like the old engine? Who would get that joke? And I looked, no, Edsel. What a weird joke to make.
The only other time Edsel's been mentioned since the late 50s, early 60s is in Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" song. One of the lines is Edsel is a no-go.
Maybe that's where I knew it from, because I did used to like Billy Joel back. Not that I don't like him, but I was into Billy Joel back in the day.
Right.
So maybe that might be actually a good call. I think that's how I know it. That's funny.
Yeah, there it is. Laugh now, Edsel face.
Wait, did he just trip or was he laughing? That's funny. The way he walked.
He was laughing, but he might have tripped too. It was not uncommon. The visibility in the suit was horrible.
Right.
If you
and
especially being Zed and whoever was playing Goldar shuffled their feet all the time because they could not see.
That makes sense. Yeah, you at least had your eyes out somewhat. me put this back on. I know there's a part over
Rito.
here that I thought was funny. Rito. Rito is so funny to me because he's like one of the scariest monsters, but he's also like the goofiest.
They made him so goofy, but Danny Stallcup, who was the suit actor for Rito, his
Right.
movements, his over exaggerations was just so good. And then the voice they had going with it. I enjoyed working with him the end of season 3 from when I guess part of 2 and 3. But he was just always so funny to do. They always gave him great lines too.
That's awesome. One thing I noticed here, they're talking about their plan, which Zed doesn't want to be a part of, doesn't even theoretically know about, but he's standing in the background. Watch what he does. He's standing there, and then he's like, "Oh, I better do something. I'll do this, and I'm just gonna put my." I feel like he shouldn't have been in that scene.
Probably not. They should have just showed him walk off, and that's it. But again, keep in mind,
and they did show him walk off.
I mean,
so
the show was hugely popular at this point.
Right.
Season 1 budget was nil because nobody knew what it was going to do. Season 2, the show's printing money basically.
Sure.
It's making money hand over fist, but budget didn't change much, if at all.
Right. Why put money back into the show?
They didn't know, oh, we can get better lighting and better cameras, and we're going to go all out on the set. No, we're going to keep doing what's worked.
I heard a similar.
Don't fix it.
I heard a similar thing about the original Planet of the Apes movies, the Charlton Heston movies, that the first one they did for whatever budget, and it did great. So then the sequel, they cut the budget down, and it still did good. And like every sequel, they gave less and less money, even though they were doing well, till they got to the point where like nobody wanted. And it's like, what? That's such a weird mindset of like success, take away their funding. Like,
well, for something like that, though, you're reusing the costumes, so you're not paying to get them done. So I could see the budget going down because you've already got a lot of the stuff you already need. You're not paying for costumes again. You're not having to recreate all the masks. So that I could see. And again, obviously, Rangers did the same thing. Every couple of years, we change it up, but we're using old Sentai costumes for the most part.
True. Are you the one that was telling me that the Rito costume specifically was like in really, really rough shape?
No, I didn't know how bad Rito's was. No, I know how bad mine was because they.
I know yours was bad, but somebody had told me. I thought it was you, maybe it was somebody else, that the Rito was like on the verge of falling apart when they got it because it had been. Yours was from Zoo Ranger, but Rito I think was from Die Ranger, so it was even older if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it Kaku Ranger?
So.
Take everybody watching. Take all that with a huge grain of salt. Somebody told me the Rito suit was bad shape.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It said the Zed suit was the only one that wasn't in bad shape because that was brand new, obviously, because they didn't have that.
Right, and what a cool design too. Okay, so they get. Oh, there's you
pulling up to the museum. There we go. All right, so pulling up to the museum. There we go. Stop. If you can stop on the outside of the museum, you might be able to go a little further to get a wider shot of it.
Let me pull back in. You just want us to look at all the monster butts.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, hey. And I also love, it took me a while to remember that the back of Rito's helmet is also a skull.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I was watching, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So this is the outside of the museum. However, it is not the outside of the Page Museum at the La Brea Tar Pits.
This is
oddly enough. This is the water treatment plant in LA.
Oh, interesting.
And they have a botanical garden at the water treatment plant where we've shot a couple of times, including for the other episode I offered to review with you.
So, and then they just took those props. Sorry, go ahead.
Good. Oh, no.
Well, so I'm going to speak now. So they took the props that were in front of the other museum and just moved them over to the water treatment, so it looks like it's still a museum. Is that the idea?
Exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
they just took a couple of big statue museum-looking pieces to throw outside to show, hey, this is the new Kamala whatever exhibit, Kamahala exhibit.
Right.
So yeah, totally different location, totally normal in Hollywood. To exterior to be totally different from the interior. Now this is
Nice
also
cowering.
one of the only times.
Nice cowering.
Also, oh, I was the best at cowering. That was my number one skill. This is one of the only times, though, that Squad and BABOO both confronted all the Rangers.
Oh,
Now,
yeah, full team.
We were sent down. We tripped up Kimberly and Tommy in the May the Best Man or Best Man for the Job episode when they're both running for school president.
Right.
We would get sent down to steal something or to sabotage something. I haven't watched every episode, although that may be coming very soon. We'll get
Spoilers
to that
for the end of this episode.
Yeah, yes, foreshadowing. But yeah, I can't remember being in front of all of the Rangers as BABOO.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because you're not exactly known as a warrior in this show.
And that's exactly it. I mean, I know there was one of the early episodes where it was just Japanese footage where BABOO and Squad are like sitting on the bleachers cheering on
Right.
the putties fighting the Rangers. But I don't recall ever seeing all the Rangers either in or out of costume because we know it's going to happen in a second.
Right.
That BABOO is there with all of the and Squad with all the Rangers. Now Rito grew.
Yeah.
Goldar grew. Goldar
Right.
fought them. Rito fought them. Zed fought them. Even Rita got big towards the
Right.
We never fought anybody.
No, you were just hanging out.
Now you know why
When you and I
was
had talked
cowering so
about this,
much.
you and I had talked about this too, as far as like alignments of various characters and how they were almost kind of like toddlers. Like if they had happened to be in the command center with Zordon, they'd be like, okay, whatever you say, Zordon. They'd kind of be just going along with that plan.
Yep.
They're just whatever we're doing, we're doing.
We were along for the ride.
Yeah, totally. All right. And then speaking of all the Rangers, they dramatically. Oh, but wait, was Kimberly there? I didn't.
Nope.
No, Kimberly's not. There's 5. Yeah.
Exactly. The 5 of them are there. So yes, okay. So technically, I wasn't in front of all the Rangers, but yeah,
a team of 5. A team of 5. But I'm looking too. Because now these ninja suits. This is American stuff, right? Because these are the Ninjetti suits that were American.
Oh yeah, this is all shot right there. And again,
right. You can see the sign.
If you don't see them take the helmet or the head off, this was the stunt team. So again, very rare to have the whole stunt team. Well, 5 of the stunt team and 5 of the Rangers and a bunch of the monsters on one shot.
Yeah. And they're lucky that this was going to be an American fight because if it was Sentai, then the pink would have been there. But they were able to change that since they were shooting it.
Correct.
Yeah, I can see all the signs in the background now. All the like set dressing to make it look like something it's not, but it works.
Exactly.
And then the battle starts, and you see all the Tengas fighting, and like you and Squad are just sort of in the back. You're there. You're definitely there, but you're just like, good luck, everybody.
Once Rito's called the Tengas up and we started cheering, they showed up, and we're like, yeah, we need to get out of here. Yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
We don't want to fight. Don't let them focus on us. And if you look at it, there was a whole lot of non-fighting too. I love this sequence where it's just him just zipping all over the place, like teleporting all over the place and never getting hit.
Yeah. Very Woody Woodpecker.
Yep. Okay, so here, if we can, I know if we can take
the
grid off for a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so this was a rolling cart, and you can see as we start pushing it, something
was that supposed to fall?
Now,
that thing.
My thought was no.
Okay.
Because again, I had the long claws on the end of fingers. It was hard to pick up stuff. However, when looking over the sides for it, it actually says as they start to push the cart, things fall off of it.
Oh, okay. Well, it was natural because I thought you just knocked it over.
Yeah. I still think that's what happened. I think it just happened to be in the script, and they were happy that it happened. If you look in a little bit, okay, if you can get a good idea of what fell off the table.
I believe it was a mask, right? I'll back
Yeah,
up.
but it's
I
a
believe
very
it was
particular, it's a very large one. It's not one of the ones that come up later on in the show.
okay. It has feathers on it. I see it. Yeah, it's got big.
All right, and you see how big it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that mask.
Okay, well, everybody remember that mask.
This actually was scripted. Remember the mask, because that actually was scripted.
Okay, I'll let this go till we get back into the museum. The fight's going on outside, but we're really more interested in what's going on inside the museum at this point. Yeah, this is a fun. It's not your usual battle, like you were saying. What?
No, it really wasn't. It was something a little different. And again, it was more. I think it was more that the Tengas knew that they were there just to distract them, not to try to defeat them.
That makes sense.
It was really more of a let's run around. I don't care that you're teleporting all over the place, because while you're teleporting, Squat, BABOO, and Rito were doing what they need to do.
Right. Speaking of which, so this is. Oh, you hear footsteps are coming, and so this is what.
Okay. My personal favorite scene. My personal favorite scene that ever got actually onto film and onto the actual show.
Really? Okay.
Coming up right now. Coming up right now, just because.
You do a really good job. That's not a freeze frame.
I was a rare specimen.
Oh, let's see.
I was the rare specimen. Squat was out of order.
Do not touch. Extinct. Rare specimen. Out of order.
Rare specimen. Out of order.
That would be an awesome print of the two of you like that.
Yeah.
Now,
yes.
This was not a freeze frame. You were just holding as still as you could, yeah?
Yeah, this was just us staying as still as we could.
That's cool, especially for you, because everyone else has a mask on, but you couldn't move your face at all.
Mm-hmm. And they sure had
some
ugly-looking monsters back.
Oh, that's where you said shh.
Yep, that's my one line for the whole show. But yeah, just because of the look of it, it was, and
it's very classic.
Just random, whatever sign they handed.
Yeah,
I don't think it was specific. It's not in the script that who gets which sign. It was just that we're standing there trying to blend in with the exhibit, and so we had the sign.
It does make sense with Squat being the out of order one, though, because like of the way their characters are written.
And actually, I'm noticing in this particular shot, and I know this happened towards the end, the top half of my makeup, the light blue part, is actually darker than it used to be. It got darker. I don't know if they intentionally changed color or just didn't realize when they changed makeup artists, but yeah, the makeup from my lips up is darker than it used to be. It used to be much paler blue.
More of a whitish as opposed to a light blue, you mean?
Yeah, more, yeah. Gotcha. More what I would call a baby blue.
Yeah, baby blue. How specific. I love the gag here too, that it's so Looney Tunes, because like 3 monsters, one of which is definitely a fighter, are like, oh, kids are coming, and then teleport away, which they could have done. It's almost like they just wanted to do this. Like,
exactly.
Like, let's see if we can get away with this.
Rito already had the iron as we were, oh, somebody's coming. Let's hide first. Don't move. Okay, now we can teleport away.
Whew.
That was cool.
And then back to the fight. Is that the last time we see you this episode? I think it might be. Because I know I thought when Rito gets back, he's kind of by himself, taking all the credit.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
I'm pretty sure
they all have the same exact jeans. I never noticed that, but like they're all wearing, like somebody went to Kmart and was like, "Here's 4 pairs of distressed jeans." Now this is the.
Okay, so remember I told you to remember that mask?
Yes, sir.
The one that fell off the table is the one that she picked up.
Yes. Oh, just for continuity?
I just thought that was, which we weren't always the best at continuity. We were good, but we weren't the best at it. I was very surprised. And again, I don't know what order for the day the scenes were shot
Right.
in. It's very possible that it was just literally left there. They pushed the cart back and they told her to go pick that one up. But like I said, it's in the script that something fell
Right.
off the table and she's picking up what's left.
Yeah,
So,
no, you're right though. That's good continuity. Oops. I love how they have to, like, the Rangers and the civilian versions have to always like reintroduce themselves and kind of like later on they're like, oh hey, we're looking for, it's like obviously but they have to kind of pretend. All right, so here's Rita.
it's
getting
us
Rita
again. We're just curious as to what happened.
Right. Are
Wow,
you in
I wish
charge
there was
here?
something we could do about it.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't see you in squad. It looks like Rito's taking all the
Yeah.
credit here.
Yeah.
And then the other interesting thing is
Which
here is
is-
where, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so which is the way it went all the time. We were
Sure.
assigned a task. Squat and BABOO completed 99% of their tasks successfully and still got yelled at when other people screwed up.
Right. What's interesting here is
And
that
I
this
love
is like,
too.
oops, hold on.
You go ahead this time.
No, go ahead. You're going to talk about the monster or?
We'll talk about the face stealer. I
Yeah.
didn't remember, so I had to go back and do a little bit of research. I thought this would have been one of the few monsters that was not created by Finster or somehow associated with Zed and Rita. There were
Right.
a few more than I thought. I mean, there were some
Right.
that were associated with going back, but
Right.
for this to be a monster that's got a completely different
Seemingly
legend
Earth
background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to
Thought
think
that
that
was
at
kind of
some point
interesting.
this monster was living on Earth, independent of Power Rangers or Zordon or Rita or anybody. He's just out there being a monster.
Right. And I love this part. You know, I've been woken after 5,000 years. Yeah, amateur.
Zed's not impressed.
You call that a
So not
deep
where I
sleep.
come from.
That's where I come from. Now, see, I don't remember them going into where Rito was or how long he might have been elsewhere. But, you know, if Rita was trapped for 10,000 years, then so was I, and so was Squat, and so was
Right.
Finster, and so was Goldar.
Goldar, yeah. And Scorpina too, right? For that matter.
I don't know, because again, episode 1, just the 5 of us were the ones that
Right.
came out of the dumpster.
So she
The
might have
initial
shown up.
shot
Yeah.
is Finster, Goldar, Squat, and BABOO, and then
Right.
her coming out last.
Oh yeah, and there's Kimberly, but again, like you said, that's a set.
Right. This is the studio set.
Down for a second. And so the legend's real. There's the face stealer. We got to go. And they talk about needing Titanus. And Zordon's like, you might need the power, but it's not ready to combine with the Ninja Megazord and all that. And so I was like, oh, so this is going to be the first Ninja Ultra Zord episode. Because they always say it's not ready until the end of the episode. Then suddenly it's ready.
First and only. This is the only Ninja Ultra Zord.
Is it the only? Well, let me ask you this, and we're getting ahead. Well, I'll let it play. We're getting ahead of ourselves. I heard, and looking at it, I believe this, but I will double check with you, see if you know, that the shot of the Ninja Megazord, the Ultra Zord, is just the toys with like a little extra paint and special effects thrown on top. That's amazing.
That is my understanding.
Okay, and so that means if you have those vintage toys, you've essentially got the props from the show.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's so cool.
Okay,
I
so
like
location number 3.
Yes.
Okay, this obviously is a much more common location for shooting Rangers. This is Castaic Lake. There's a whole park over there. It was like 10 minutes tops from the studio. It was real close. They shot.
Does
there
that the
all
water
the
go
time.
down that when it like overflows or something? That thing behind him.
I'm assuming that's what that is for there. The park is big enough that they could use it 10 different times and not use the same actual shot.
Gotcha. Trying to see if I could see the actual lake in any of these shots. I did think the face off. Oh, here.
Let me back up. This is actually.
Oh, there it is.
This is. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, I did remember seeing. Okay, never mind.
I will say that this monster, like, didn't seem that like terrifying, but like when people start losing their faces, I was thinking like as a kid, like just the face is gone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Vulcan Skull, okay, but then when the Rangers threw their suits and they take off the helmets, it's like, oh, it's kind of creepy. This is a good location though. What's it called in Castilla Lake?
It's Castaic Lake.
Castaic.
Actually, I'm wondering, this might be Japanese footage, but I know it's
No, 'cause
they
Bulk
found
and Skull
Castaic
were
Lake
there.
because it's similar to. That's right. That's right. It is. That's right.
I mean, they could have cut around that, I guess. Oh no, but also the White Ranger with them has to be American footage. Well,
Mhm.
they could have shot it
Right,
in
right.
Japan for them, but I guess Bulk and Skull makes me think it's American unless they just cut them in.
No, that would have to be American then. Again, I didn't get to obviously be on set when they weren't using BABOO, but yeah.
Right. Man, I mean, it's definitely a lake, so I believe you're probably
Yep.
correct.
Okay.
This part, like
Now
again,
here,
like,
just so creepy. I mean, I assume it's just modeling clay or something
yeah,
along those lines. But
probably wet
now,
paper towels we let
I'm
dry.
could be. I'm going to default back to you on this one.
Mhm.
I also believe this is one of the few, if not only times you had the whole team in Ranger costume without helmets on in the command center. They were there in civilian clothes together a
Yeah.
whole lot. I don't
it
remember
wasn't
too many
common.
other times.
I agree. I couldn't tell you how many, but not a lot. And certainly, like you said, not the whole team, all with their helmets off. Unfortunately, two of them have stuff on their faces, but still.
Well,
It
yeah.
definitely, I don't think it ever happened season 1. I think it never happened until season 2 and 3 because that's when the actors maybe had the suits, whereas in the first season it wasn't even clear if they had them, half the time.
I don't know because I only filmed the one episode at the end of season 1, and that was location with just monsters.
Right.
So I couldn't answer that one, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, that's the you're
Okay,
talking
so
about the
that was
Mastodon.
with Mastodon. Yep. So yeah, they
Nice.
decided to shoot a little bit in the rest of the museum away from the prop, the for the story only exhibit.
Right. That is nice, like good, what do you call it? Like production value for something just hanging out in the background, and it fits. They should have had
Exactly.
Adam there. Yeah, he's the only one
You
not
think?
there. Why? Well, I should too, but like that's weird. Why? Like
Well,
that's such a no-brainer.
because they stole his face. Which if they could have stole somebody else's face, they could have stole
Yeah.
Joey's face or
Yeah, because it's
Rocky's
it's
face
American
and put it in
footage, so they
there.
could have done it that way. They probably wrote the
Yeah, they
script
could
and
have
then
done it any
realized
way
they'd
they
have
wanted.
that. Sorry, go ahead. Say that again.
No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that could be exactly what it was. They didn't realize they would get a chance to get that shot with the
Yeah.
Mastodon. But yeah, they could have written it. It could have been anybody.
Right. Yeah, she got a lot of time in this episode too. I forgot how much they keep coming back
Yeah.
to her. You're just gonna have to trust us. Now, before we started watching this episode, you asked me like, did I recognize anyone, and I did not recognize her. But in a minute,
That's who I was asking about. Yeah.
Okay, nope, not at all did I recognize her. But now they have the masks, and then they hit him. They reflect it back. I'm trying not to show too much. Okay. Oh, here it is. So they hit him back with his own blast, and a bunch of faces come out. Now, obviously, one is
Right,
Adam
not
and
just-
Aisha, and one's. Go ahead.
Yeah, one's Bulk and one's Skull, but I didn't know who the other ones are. I didn't really get a.
Okay, because one of them is
I
literally
didn't freeze
just a
from
baby.
top to look.
That's what I'm doing. Because I thought maybe are these like crew people or other like suit actors or is it definitely like those two are kind of so you could almost not even tell who they are. And then
Right.
there's this baby, and I'm like, did someone just have a baby or what? What is that? The Gerber baby? Does that mean somewhere there's a baby with no face?
Since the baby's face is up in the sky, that's the
Yeah.
baby in the sun from Teletubbies.
That thought crossed my mind. This is the origin story. And then I think that's Adam and Aisha there. And then
yeah,
there's a few other randoms come out. Yeah, like that face there. And this, you can see guy, like, I don't know who that is. So I thought these were like crew people or writers or suit actors or something. Like that's not Bulk or Skull.
Very
Who's that guy?
No
And then
idea.
this guy with the glasses.
With the glass.
Is that like Shuki Levy or something? I don't know. And then there's Bulk and Skull. It was a fun effect, but I thought
Oh,
those
absolutely.
are somebody. Those aren't just random people, I bet.
I would
saw
assume they
Adam-
have to be somebody. I just don't know who.
Yeah. This is also a good line. I saw Adams and Aisha's come out. They go right their faces. I'm gonna put this
Yeah.
back up.
Not. I saw their faces come out. Would have been fine.
I just
but
saw,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the faces floop back onto them, and they don't have any memory. And it's it's
Oh,
funny.
No, yeah, no.
Oh, this is something that maybe everybody in the world knows, but I just figured this out not too long ago when I was playing with my Power Ranger toys on a shelf. That and maybe this is unintentional, but if you look at their staffs, it's an O and a Z, and they put them together to make the monster grow. It's Oz, like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of that? Am I a genius, or is that something everybody knows? Somewhere in between.
It's something that's there all the time, but you probably don't think about. So I never really thought about it. I mean, that was
It
the
might be a
original,
coincidence.
original staff design,
Right.
and they just wanted the Z staff for Zed. I don't know that they actually put together, hey, that's going to form, I don't think it was intentional. I think it's just a,
Right.
A happy accident.
Right. Well, that's fair. And it gets big, yeah. Okay. Even though it's not their monster, they could still put their. Oh, I just noticed he's got like little buttons and faces. That's fun.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not a monster that they created, but they could still make it grow. That's interesting.
Right.
And I thought this was interesting too, as far as fights, because really, when they defeated him before he grew, they didn't do anything. They put the mask
just
up, and the
reversed
monster
it.
defeated himself.
Right. Well, other than the face stealing, once they've defeated that part of it, he's not really that powerful of a monster. Because even when he gets big,
not at all.
They don't have much difficulty with him, I should say.
No, not really.
Oh, Titanus is now ready for battle. Perfect timing. Let me put this on. One thing, I was never a huge fan of the Ninja Megazord. I didn't hate it or anything, but it was never my favorite. And I was watching this episode, and I did like the Falcon Zord, and it comes in and does this kick. I'm like, actually, it's kind of a cool Megazord. And I think it's just because it follows the Thunder Megazord, which is one of my all-time favorites. So watching it not following the Thunder Megazord, I'm like, it's not a bad Zord. It's actually not a bad Zord, but I'm just, it's hard to follow one of my favorites.
Yeah, exactly. I had the Falcon Zord. I had bought one a couple of years ago. And then
when GameStop was blowing them out there.
Yeah, when GameStop was blowing everything out, I got one at a good price, and then had an opportunity to make quite a bit more money on it. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Still in the box. I think I can sell it for that. Yeah, I'm good.
And I'm looking at it from the opposite point of view, where I didn't get the Ninja Megazord when it was on sale, and I'm like, I wish I did. I'm not buying it now, but I kind of wish I got it back then.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think that's the other thing. Having the Falcon Zord wings on it, that definitely adds to the look.
Yes.
But so here's the thing I was thinking about with this is they basically destroy him. He doesn't get a single hit on them. They're just wiping the floor with him.
No,
and then
nothing.
And then they say, we need Ultra Zord power, which makes no sense because the big tenet of Zordon is don't escalate unless you need to. And they're winning, and they're like, we need more power.
It was just to show it off.
Yeah. But they could have even put in a couple lines like this is early. He's stronger than he looks. Just be like, oh, we don't have enough power. It was just weird because you always make such a big deal about that.
And said, I knew choosing this monster was a ridiculous idea. I loved season 2 Zed because he was so dark and scary, but I just they did a good job when they brought Rita back.
Right.
To still keeping him angry and loud and roar, but making it funny too.
A little bit more like Fred Flintstone or something. Because he was like, yeah, he's very loud and
Yeah.
blustery. That's the word, blustery.
That's good word. Yes. Yeah. Very honeymooner-esque. And a honeymooner
Honeymooner, yes.
reference not a lot of people are going to get, but that's actually what the Flintstones were based off of, was the honeymooners.
Yeah. I've actually seen every episode of the Honeymooners multiple times, believe it or not. Growing up on the East Coast, they used to have marathons of them on Channel 11. And, there's only like 20 episodes or whatever. And so I've seen all of them a million times. Yeah, and so this is just toys, everybody. They put a little filter
that's
on.
Literally just the toys.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome.
Explosions in the background. That's it. But then he goes, so he spent the last 2 minutes straight not even getting a punch in, and then goes, "Stop it! You're tickling me."
Yeah, which is like, is he just trying to talk tough? I think at that point, because then he's gone in one
Was
hit.
that to justify? It should have been that first, and then go.
Yeah,
hey, we need more power. Let's get Titanus.
Right. Yeah. Like everything we throw at him, he's just laughing it off. They wouldn't have to change the footage at all. And that's something Big Dog and I talk about with a lot of episodes. We're like, okay, you have budget, you have time constraints, but throwing in a line of dialogue and do a lot of work. No, they're all high-fiving each other.
Yeah, that was the easiest fight we've had in months.
Seal up the urn. It is funny because it, like, from that angle, it does kind of look like the dumpster that everybody was in the beginning.
Yep, and there you go. Here's the
blustering,
bickering couple.
And here's Bulk and Skull. Bulk and Skull
trying to save the day. Trying to get credit for saving the day.
Trying to get credit for saving the day because and also early on they were talking about not wanting to fail whatever their test was because they wanted to get girls and they didn't want to lose their uniforms. And it's funny because in a way, in this episode specifically, they got like the most character time, like not the most screen time, but all the Rangers were like, just let's fight. No. And like we know about Bulk and Skull's motivations, more than anyone else, really.
I mean, they went through just as many changes over the first 3 seasons with they really had arc for Bulk and Skull.
Yeah.
And they kept it fresh and it worked. Paulie and Jason did a great job in basically going with, oh, this is what we're doing today. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've said before that I kind of got back into Power Rangers around when Samurai was on, which is not everybody's favorite season, but it's always going to have a place in my heart because it kind of got me back into it. And it had Paulie back as Bulk. Unfortunately, oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. Jason didn't come back into the last episode because he could, but at least he came back to the last episode. But it was like, oh, I haven't watched this in years. And look, there's Bulk, like it was like, that's so crazy. And then that's it. And then they have a little
have a
little
drink at the juice bar and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And then
there's a little
couple
extra
of the outtakes. I like when they started doing this too, doing the little outtakes at the end.
Yeah, why not?
Lord knows we had plenty of them to choose from. Nothing was ever done in one shot.
No, why? Well, yeah. Yep. Why would it be? All right, so let me stop that and close that. Well, that was fun, man. And you did have a lot of behind the scenes on that one. So even though you were not in it as maybe much as we would have liked, you certainly had a lot of good behind the scenes stuff. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Quite welcome.
Now,
quite welcome.
Aside from that, I did want to talk about a few things that you wanted to talk about for promotion. There's some stuff that people probably already know about if they follow you or follow the us. So let me do a quick share screen here. And I'm just going to do entire screen. Okay, well, let's start with this. You have your Etsy store.
Yes, I do.
This is your Etsy store. You want to tell us about this?
Okay, so my Etsy store is named Monsters Need Love Too. Basically, I designed this just as a way to get the opportunity for people that can't make it to conventions that I'm at to get autographs. And then I added a nice little piece of artwork right there in the middle.
What?
This great artist I met when I did it at a convention I did a couple years ago at Power Morphicon Express in Pasadena.
It's a little hard
I
on
was a
that.
last minute addition to the show, so I got put in the artist aisle because there was no more room in the actor aisle. And I was 2 booths down from this guy. Oh, there he is right there, right above me.
And that's where our opening comes from, was that show.
Exactly. That's where the opening I did came from. And then, Gaz, I remember you apologized to me because I was a last minute addition. You didn't get my headshot done ahead of the show.
Yes.
And you told me about your show. And the first show I tuned into after that, what you used to do is you used to have your little artist
Art.
sketch
Yes. I
up
used
in
to.
the top corner while the show was going on, and it was you sketching BABOO. So I'm like, okay, I love this guy. I got to watch now.
Yeah, no, that was, I can't always succeed, but I try to have art of the guests that are going to be at the shows I'm at. And usually I do it. And it's funny because sometimes people say like, well, what are the actors going to come and be like upset? And no actor's ever been upset with me, but more than once I've had a meeting with an actor and they didn't have their art. And I'm like, oh, I wish I did, so I always try to. And if I fail, it's nothing personal. It's just the time. And then that one, I didn't even know you were going to be there until it was almost time for the show. So I had no opportunity to, unfortunately.
So we have had opportunities to be together after that.
Yes. Once we did at Ranger Stop.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That was the only other in-person time together.
Truth. All right. Let me share the next thing. Well, actually, no. I'll go in order of excitingness and my excitingness. So the Etsy store. Okay, we kind of already knew about that. That's fine. And then the other thing, which is, I was going to ask you about any upcoming shows, and you told me about this one right here.
Yep, Tri-City Comic-Con in Livingston, Texas, about an hour north of Houston, which is where I'm based out of, just outside of Houston. A friend of mine is actually doing the whole show, the Con Hour. He's actually the one that's producing the whole show.
Yeah,
and
I've been on
friends
his show
for a few years. Yes, you've been. Yeah, I recommended you to be on the Con Hour for an episode.
That was fun.
And he asked me right off the bat if I'd do his show, and I'm like, of course.
Nice. And that is, you said in January?
January.
January 13th
and 14th. Not normal convention season, but I'm looking forward to it.
Sometimes that could work, the ones that are not the standard sometimes could work really well. Like when I did that, it was Power Morphicon Express, which I think was the only one they ever did in Texas when we met. And I was like, is this going to be a thing? And I did really well at that show, whereas sometimes I go to the shows that this is in the summer, this is at the convention center that everybody goes to. It's like, oh, people are kind of like not as into it because it's there all the time. So sometimes a different time, a different venue, and people get excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me close that. All right,
so
but the big one to me,
two,
maybe not to everyone else, to me, the big one, let me add it in.
I'm pretty sure this is the big one.
Okay.
It is to me.
Okay. There's that. What's this going on here?
All right, so just before we film this, I announced my new YouTube channel, BABOO's Monster Review. So
I'm gonna give you a one.
This show should air, that we're taping right now, is going to air after my premiere episode on BABOO's Monster Review on YouTube. Now, as I said in the little teaser trailer there's dozens of Power Rangers channels out there. I know that. But
we're one of them.
Two things going for mine. One of them is I was on the show. I'm a cast member. I can give you some inside information like I've done today. But second and more important, it's going to be a little different perspective on all the Power Rangers episodes. We're going to focus on the real stars of the show, which is the monsters. Now, I sum it up like this. You have a movie. Usually you have a good guy and a bad guy.
Yes.
You can have they can be monsters or not. You have a monster movie without a hero, you still have a monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of superheroes with nobody to fight, you don't have a movie.
Right. Right. That's true.
The villains are always the stars. And ask almost
I was
any
with you until that
actor
point.
would
That's a
rather-
debatable.
Well, almost any actor that you ask would rather play a villain because
I have
you can
heard
go
that.
more over the top. You can go
Right.
way outside the lines, and it's
Right.
okay. Heroes
yeah.
have to go a certain way, with some limited exceptions. You know,
Sure.
Superman, he's going to be the same in everything. Batman, okay, maybe get a little different, but so yeah. So right now, I've only got the only thing on there is the teaser video. The plan
Hello,
is
Power
for
Ranger.
Friday, September 8th. Oh,
Yeah, I'm seeing
Friday,
double here. Look at
September
that.
8th. Whoa. Gee, it's like I filmed that like just before we got on here together.
But yeah, so today we're
Yeah, the
filming
plan
this
is
on
in a few days.
the 5th. So it'll air in about 7 days, and this episode will be airing in 7 days. So your episode of your channel will definitely be up by the time people are watching this. So if somehow you're seeing this before that, go over, give it a watch, give it a like, give it a subscribe, all that stuff, because monsters need love too. I said that so much more gently than I meant to. I wanted it to be like a punchline, but I got it real emotional about it.
But it's not a punchline. I mean, it's legit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Love doesn't mean, it's not women writing love letters to Pinhead from Hellraiser because they want to marry him. I'm talking about just give us some attention.
What a specific example.
That one just always stuck with me because I remember even doing an interview, seeing an interview with the actor, and I don't remember who it was that played, but he's like,
not Doug Jones, Doug Bradley.
what in the world makes anybody think that Pinhead would be a good spouse? There's no redeeming quality about the guy whatsoever.
Maybe if they're a seamstress.
Okay, you know what? There you go. I think he found his niche. But yeah,
I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you do with the channel because you've been talking about it for a while, and I'm glad you're finally able to find time to do it. And I'm excited to see what you do with it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. I've been going back and forth as to how I'm going to do it, and decided I'm going to record it first. I'm not going to do live shows right off the bat. Do some recorded shows, get the kinks worked out.
Yeah.
Maybe after the first few episodes, maybe do a live Q&A session if there's interest. Hey, I've done the first 4 or 5 whatever episodes. I'll do a live so you can ask me questions live, but I don't have to worry about flipping back and forth between stuff. Or if it goes real well, it may go live. I don't know. I'm open to anything.
I've been doing this for a while, and live is always harder, even at this point. So I think it's a good idea to do a few first and get used to it. And also, if it's just a Q&A, it's like, okay. But then like a few times we tried to like watch something and do the Q&A at the same time. That's real hard because like you've responded to a question and you missed what you were watching. And
you want to comment, you want to pay attention to the commenters, your subscribers, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, let's go back. And I remember we had an issue with that.
Yeah.
So I understand. I think it's better to let me throw it all out there, and then I'll do my best to respond to comments. I think one thing people do know about me is if we're friends on Facebook and your birthday is posted, it pops up on my birthday feed. I give everybody a happy birthday from BABOO.
BABOO birthday wishes. There you go.
Everybody that's friends with me, obviously, if it's not a fan, if it's family member or friends from other goings on, then it's just a regular happy birthday. But yeah, anybody that's a fan is gonna get a happy birthday.
I thought you were gonna say, obviously, if you're like a friend or a family member, I'm not gonna bother. But if you're a fan,
no, come on now.
Well, this has been fun, but we're coming up on an hour. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Which we usually do. I was just gonna say, anybody that's interested, my Facebook is just Steve Andreno. Make sure the little logo is BABOO. or you'll get my dad, and he'll be really confused as to why you're friending him.
You're on
And then
Instagram
my-
too, right? Or oh yeah, there you go.
The app
BABOO
formerly
Reel.
known as Twitter. And just put there we go. It's X
Yeah.
and Instagram, and also Threads now.
Oh, you're doing Threads.
All three of them are just on Threads too, but all three of them are just at BABOO Reel.
There you go. So at BABOO Reel or Steve Andreno, one or both is the way to find you. And now you're on YouTube too.
Yep.
So there you go. You're hitting all of it.
Yes. Check out the
Even
channel,
Threads.
BABOO's
I haven't even
Monster
looked
Review.
at Threads. All right. Well, so what I was gonna say, but I think you beat me
it's
to the
tough.
punch. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was say Threads is actually it's tied into Instagram, so if you go on it, it'll just copy everything over, and you're pretty
Gotcha.
much good to go.
What I was gonna say, but I think you beat me to it, was that we're coming up on an hour, so we want to wrap up. But is there anything else you wanted to talk about or plug? Is there anything besides what you just said?
Besides, I mean, no, the big thing is the channel. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to the feedback. I know I may be opening myself up to something by saying that, but you know what? Like I said, I love interacting with the fans. I don't have to agree with everything.
Sure.
I don't know everything that they ask.
We're not a big channel, and maybe this happens more with big channels, but I have said we've been doing this for years. It used to be on the Gazbot channel, now it's its own channel, and on both of them, I had almost no negative interactions. Again, not everyone always agrees with everything we say, or might have a question or a dissenting opinion, but I've never, I know trolls and negativity on the internet are a very real thing, but we've been very lucky, and I think part of that is that the Power Rangers fandom is just a little nicer, gentler fandom than some others maybe. And so I would be shocked if you didn't have just good interactions. I would be very shocked.
No, I mean that even doing conventions, and then there's times that people will walk by. Wait, who are you? You did what? Oh, okay, walk by. It's fine. I don't. You're not hurting my feelings by going. Yeah, I don't know who you are, and I'm not interested. That's fine.
Right. One could argue that they didn't need to say that, though. One could argue they could have just kept walking.
Well, but it's usually I would usually get the wait what because on the I have the original action figure out. I've got some pictures. I've got some of the original the Pogs. So I've got some old stuff. So it's always a curiosity as they're walking by to go, wait, what is this? And you're like, Power Rangers? No, I don't know. And just keep
gotcha.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? Well, hopefully your channel goes really well, and hopefully you have a good time doing it, which is the most important part. And you have your show coming up in January, but people should follow you on all your social media for updates of all kinds, including other shows that you might do before then that you have not yet announced or committed to yet.
Correct. Yes. Something in the fire that possibly, but yeah, can't announce it until it officially is 100% go.
Understandable. That is very prudent of you, sir. Okay, well then, thank you again for being on. And until next time, I've been Gazbot, and you have been
BABOO, Steve Andreno.
And to the power.
To the power.
Put on the nice.
And monsters need love too.
Ah! You should be able to unmute your mic if you feel like talking over the credits. You don't have to. Alex always likes to.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we had to wait till the credits were over.
Nah, we don't stand on ceremony here. I don't even really have anything to say. I can see that you're drinking, so.
Oh yeah.
You're not on screen. You're going to be on screen again in a second. So put your shirt back on. Okay, there you go.
Fine.
All right. Bye, everybody.